I remember the good old Game Boy Advance days. This was before I had a computer and when I first discovered the Sims franchise. It was no coincidence that I stumbled upon the Urbz Sims in the City. At that time, I had limited knowledge about The Sims, having only played The Sims Bustin' Out and The Sims 2. Even those games were rarely accessible to me since they belonged to my older siblings. It wasn't until my older brother got his very first computer and lost interest in console gaming altogether that I inherited all the games he no longer played. Prior to the Urbz, there was The Sims Bustin' Out, which I actually played, but this video is not about that. This video is about the Urbz, Sims in the City, a hidden gem that holds many cherished memories, and taught me valuable lessons about hustling and navigating the bustling city streets. It stands out from any other Sims game that I've ever played, and honestly, any other game for that matter. I was climbing the social ladder even before I understood the concept of socializing. The soundtrack in this game is exceptional. And after many years of letting the Urbz sit deep in the most innocent corners of my memories, I'm now ready to revisit this game and demonstrate to all of you just how remarkable and ahead of its time this game truly is.
It's Appleseed!
The Urbz Sims in a City takes place in a fictional city called Minneapolis, which has a heavy resemblance to large cities across the US. We begin our adventure in the King Tower, where we meet Chris Thistle, a janitor working for Daddy Big Bucks. We quickly learn that Daddy Big Bucks is the game's primary antagonist on his quest to gentrify and monetize Minneapolis. The game features a variety of minigames that are both challenging and entertaining. These minigames serve the very purpose of making money, also called simoleons.
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I don't remember it being this hard.
The minigames range from shooting hoops to conducting surgery to even being a comedian dodging a barrage of tomatoes. The game incentivizes you to build your sim stats to progress further, resulting in a higher paycheck.
Alright, congratulations, you've been promoted to level 2 Granny Styler.
These stats include cooking, creativity, logic, and more. Our Sims learn that they are being fired from King Tower since there's a new owner, Daddy Big Bucks. We convince Chris Thistle to let us stay in exchange for doing tasks around the tower. This involves our first minigame, Squeegee Clean, where we have to clean up bird poop as it falls onto King Tower. We also make repairs around the tower and discover King Tower's original owner, Mr. King, who was scammed by Daddy Big Bucks.
Who are you? Harlan King. Oh, Mr. King.
This sets the game's main storyline into motion. We must now leave King Tower. However, Chris tells us that the building is locked down and we must find the key to free ourselves. This leads us to break into one of King Tower's offices to retrieve the key. Unfortunately, we are caught by Daddy Big Bucks and sent off to jail. The social system in this game is one of my favorites. It's quite simple as you are given rotating options for social interactions. Depending on the sim you are speaking to, these social interactions will affect the outcome of their response, being positive or negative. It's a fun way to learn about each sim and their likes and dislikes. I find the simplicity of the social interactions to be quite in-depth, allowing your imagination to go wild. A big theme throughout the game is rep groups. Think of these like cliques. You have your streeties who are all about clubbing and street smarts, the artsies who are passionate about music and, as you guessed it, art, the nerdies who are smart and sciencey. Last but not least, you have the richies. All they care about is money. From the beginning of the game, you are placed in a rep group based on a fun questionnaire. I ended up getting the richies even though I felt like I belonged to the artsies group. Oh well, I can't help that I'm destined for this money. Between these 4 social groups, your job is to navigate the social dynamics between each one, befriending those in each group and obtaining rep points. Did I mention there's also sizzle beads? Yeah, relating to the questionnaire at the character creation, you are given 5 sizzles. These sizzles can be bought using sizzle beads and will grant you certain perks and rewards. Sizzle beads are obtained through various in-game methods, such as befriending members of a rep group or finding them across Minneapolis.
Oh, I found a sizzle bead. Nice.
We arrive at a jail in the neighborhood of Urbania, which reminds me of Brooklyn, NYC. We befriend Detective Dandy Man. Haha, get it? Dandy Man? Our primary goal has now shifted to learning more about the citizens of Minneapolis. We must get in good with each of the rep groups, which will eventually benefit us in our quest to take down Daddy Big Bucks. Here is where we meet some of the game's most iconic and important characters. Crystal, who's a streetie that we end up taking out on a date. Grandma Hattie, who's all about social justice and being the voice for the people. Darius, who teaches us about sizzle beads, and Club Sizzle, the hottest gate-kept spot in town. Like before, we are given tasks to complete that guide us further into our mission. We get our first apartment, play hoops for money,
Wow, I don't miss.
and find out that we are not so great at being a comedian. Urbania has a thrift shop where we can buy furniture for our apartment, and sometimes an auction is held. There's a hospital, community center, dive bar, and the university. And who could forget Dusty Hogg and Iwan Watanabe's dirt bike shop? It is through the help of these citizens of Urbania that we learn more about Daddy Big Buck's power, corruption, and lies. The Urbz, while it is a GBA game, is filled with a lot of really neat details. As a renter, you have access to numerous amounts of home upgrades that can make your place feel improved. While it is not essential to make these home upgrades, it does add useful benefits. I've had multiple burglaries in my home, resulting to me losing my toilet. I've been robbed. They stole my toilet. They stole my golden toilet. That is so rude. I had to go to the dive bar just to use the bathroom. Other upgrades can even lower your weekly rent, and we all know how difficult it is to come by simoleons in the Urbz.
You don't have enough simoleons. Yikes. Okay, looks like we're starving.
As you begin to build deeper connections with those in your respective rep group, you'll be awarded gifts in the mail, and as mentioned before, sizzle beads. One of my favorite features in this game is the university. Now, in the Urbz, skill leveling can be quite tedious and time consuming, especially because the game forces you to take care of your Sim's needs. It may take quite a while to reach a certain skill level that might be required to progress in a job or quest. The university allows you to pay simoleons to take a class that teaches you the skill and grants you a skill level. I don't consider this to be pay to win because at the end of the day, you do need simoleons, which is an essential part of the game. Upon reaching the third chapter of the Urbz, you now have access to the Sims Quarter. This feels a lot like a vibrant marketplace with 24/7 vendors, a museum.
Oh my gosh, what is this? Patrick's home? I just paid $500 for this?
A fortune teller shop, internet cafe, jazz club, and even a houseboat. The cool thing about the Urbz is that when new areas of the game are discovered, new housing options become available as well as a new set of characters you can meet. I would love to move into this place. Let's check out this apartment, the city apartment. Oh yeah, I would love to move in here. Fun fact, if you didn't know this by now, the password to get into Club Sizzle is Bucket. We are immediately tasked to play Mugu Monkey as there is a case that needs to be solved, given to us by none other than Detective Dandy Man.
What I need is a bazillion simoleons.
Mugu Monkey is a casino-esque minigame that revolves around you placing bets on 6 different colored monkeys. This game is definitely one of the more fun minigames you'll come across in Minneapolis. A lot of the Sims Quarter revolves around restructuring Minneapolis and of course taking Daddy Big Bucks down. We learn a lot more about the citizens and are tasked to help them through their everyday lives. At one point, we challenged Dusty Hoggs to a race to gain his help rebuilding one of the more tedious minigames, Yar Hey Bombard.
Oh, now it's anyone's game. No! Oh my gosh, he almost bumped me. He almost oh! No! No! Oh.
Which I had a lot of fun playing, but definitely won't be revisiting if I have to make simoleons. Upon beating Dusty, we also get a motorcycle. Talk about stylish and getting around faster. We also get the opportunity to buy some art for the local museum and gatekeep a bunch of nerds from entering Cannonball Coleman's jazz show.
Oh, not you, Max, you nerd. No nerds.
We eventually learned that Captain Old Salty is planning on selling his boat to Daddy Big Bucks, apparently so that he can turn it into a giant walk-in closet. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to go all the way to a casino boat just to change my clothes. But rich people, do you. Of course, the citizens of Minneapolis are not happy to find out about Daddy Big Bucks' plan, and we once again sabotage him by cosplaying as Captain Old Salty's long-lost brother Pepper Pete. This does not end well, and we are tossed into the waters of Minneapolis by Daddy Big Bucks. Goodbye, Sims Quarter. I wanted to take this time to reflect back on when I first played the game. See, I was very young, so a lot of what was happening in the game didn't really resonate with me as much as it does now. I wasn't as invested in the storyline because truthfully, I just didn't understand it. I was focused a lot on the more well-versed Sims features like decorating and having the nicest house. I think what makes this game feel special for me and a big standout in the Sims franchise is the fact that it takes place in a city. As someone who grew up in a big city, it does hit home. The setting, the diversity, the opportunities, they're all packaged very nicely. There's every type of person that you can come across, and it makes for a very interesting social dynamic. And not to say that other Sims games don't have a fun social atmosphere, don't get me wrong, I just think the Urbz is the perfect backdrop for a game like The Sims. The soundtrack for me gets major nostalgia points. There's also something so chilling about this TV sound whenever you turn the TV on. Or what about this noise when you get robbed? As a kid, I could have sworn I would get nightmares or the heebie-jeebies. Anyways, back to the video. We awaken in the bayous of Minneapolis, where we meet the Bayou twins, Bayou Boo and Crawdad Clem. One of the things I've always loved about the Urbz is the intermission from city living. We get a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of urban life and kick off an adventure in the bayous away from the city.
Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? That is literally the monster from Stranger Things.
I've always loved this part of the game because it truly does give you a refreshing feeling of escaping the city, even if it was not by choice. Down by the river, we got a chance to poop and shower with Bayou Boo and Crawdad Clem. We had to convince Crawdad Clem that we weren't a vampire. How gnarly. It was quite scary navigating the swamp, and the man-eating plants didn't make things any better. Not only were we scared of the dark, but we were also afraid of a giant, ghastly Daddy Big Bucks. There was also Lloyd, who in my opinion was truly the scary one.
Oh, is this the albino alligator? Oh my gosh! This thing looks freaky! This thing looks freaky! This looks like Lizard Man from Soul Calibur.
Those eyes staring into my soul shiver me timbers. Let's not forget Fiddle the Red Man, where we unlock our final minigame, Lil Fiddler. Our adventures in the bayou was short-lived as we had to return to our normal life in Minneapolis. Our friends at home were waiting for us. Now, this next part was truly painful to play and probably the most annoying part of this game. A new law has passed in Minneapolis and citizens are no longer allowed to run due to noise pollution. I mean, I haven't seen a single soul in the city run, let alone jog. I don't know, but this seems like an appropriate time to hop on the motorbike. Upon returning to Urbania, we finally wake Gordy. He's the kid that was fast asleep in the university. Talk about relatable. We also give Roxy 5,000 simoleons for some reason and set Misty Waters up with Luther Big Bucks. I cannot forget how we set up an entire play based around defaming Daddy Big Bucks. Unfortunately, we expected there to be a larger attendance.
I love how nobody's at the show. It's literally just like the four of us and two people on stage, and they had that dramatic exit. And now here comes Daddy Big Bucks, all red and angry like he usually is. Oh my gosh.
But getting anybody to care is tough in a big city. Oh, Minneapolis. Minigames aren't the only way to make simoleons in the Urbz. The craft bench allows you to craft various objects using wooden logs found throughout Minneapolis or purchased at the Sims Quarter Marketplace. You can make a quick buck by selling these crafted items at the thrift shop. You can also put your creativity to use at the art easel. artwork can be sold for a good amount of simoleons depending on your creativity level, which can be increased at the university or playing the guitar. Strange how you can't level your creativity at the art easel, but hey, I'm not a game developer, so. Mixing and baking is also a fun way to test out some of your favorite recipes or just experiment to see what works. Of course, you'll need a good amount of cooking level to make sure that nothing gets burnt or become inedible. By now, you've probably smooched your way deep into your rep group and made good with the leader. You'll receive bonus missions to complete depending on the rep group and will unlock you the clubhouse. Now, I almost completed all my Richie's missions, but I didn't even bother trying to buy 30,000 simoleons worth of items. Like I said, I don't really feel like a Richie, at least not yet. Apparently, there's a reality TV show being filmed right now in Minneapolis, and we must get to Paradise Island immediately. Unfortunately, I did not find all the coconuts that we were asked to find, and we didn't get the chance to participate in the trivia contest. Oh well, maybe next time. Back to the drawing board, we managed to sneak into Daddy B's secret lair, right underneath his office to retrieve his evil plans. And back in the bayou, Bayou Boo has turned into a vampire. Today, I learned that chocolate is the cure for vampirism. Only after we burnt our chocolate baking mix countless times and almost went broke trying to save Bayou Boo. Well, what do you know? Mr. King has been trapped in a cell this entire time. We managed to get him out, thank God. Did I mention we finally become good friends with Lily Gates? She's the worst. Well, we had to, in order to get a ticket to the Atlantis premiere party. Time for an outfit change because I have to wear all black. Upon discovering Daddy Big Buck's plan to use time travel, we decided to make a time machine ourselves to beat him to the race. Sue and Ewan did an amazing job helping us build the time machine, and now all that's left was to go back in time and spoil Daddy Big Buck's plans. Using the time machine that we built with the help of the citizens of Minneapolis, we were able to save the day and save Minneapolis from Daddy Big Buck's ruthless gentrification plan, sending him right where he belongs. This wraps up our adventures in Minneapolis. Roll the credits. The Urbz Sims in the City is one of the most captivating games I've ever played. As a kid experiencing this game for the first time, I sensed there was something truly special about it. I just couldn't quite put my finger on it until now. The delightful little details scattered throughout Minneapolis and the fascinating stories behind each character made every moment exciting. The social dynamics that set the tone for the game were brilliantly designed to appeal to everyone, regardless of whether you were a nerd or an artsy person, popular or not. It's an experience that we can all deeply immerse ourselves in and enjoy. The mini-games are engaging and lighthearted as you can expect from a GBA game made in the 2000s. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing, and even after all these years, I can still sit and listen to it all day long. I recall many of the quirky moments and character dialogues, which are even funnier to think about now. The distinctive noises assigned to each character despite the absence of an actual voiceover added another layer of charm. My favorite part of games like this is the sense of adventure that often goes unnoticed. Although there is a world map, it serves solely as a reference point. You easily remember the layout of the map, where to go, and even how to access all the hidden areas. The game encourages you to explore and discover things on your own, which truly immerses you in the world of Minneapolis. You even start to remember the location of all your favorite Sims at certain times of the day. I feel like modern games often overlook these elements. Revisiting this game after so long reminds me of the charm of old school video games. It was never about the graphics, but purely about the gameplay and the countless little details it had to offer. When graphics aren't the main focus of discussion, game developers are forced to pay extra attention to the other aspects of a video game. The Urbz does an excellent job at capturing these finer details. For instance, even though there is no voiceover or significant dialogue outside of important story missions, learning about the likes and dislikes of each sim is enough to let your imagination create your own version of who these Sims are, truly tailoring the experience for you. I'm eternally grateful that I got the chance to come across this game as a kid. It influenced my perspective of video games and what they can offer. The Urbz strengthened my interest in the Sims franchise as a whole in a way that none of the other mainline games did. I genuinely hope EA considers remastering or bringing back the Urbz in some way, shape, or form. But for now, I will always remember the wonderful times I've had in Minneapolis.